In this lecture, we will be writing an application which actually creates a site collection for us under this web application. Already in my previous lecture, I did explain to you how to create a new site collection under an existing web application. But that time, we actually did that using a console-based application. Now, we will be creating a proper SharePoint project, and with the help of a feature, and when that feature gets activated by us, a new site collection has to be created. To get this done, let's go back to Visual Studio. I'm now inside Visual Studio. Let's actually click on File, New, Project. Unlike in the earlier demonstration where I was using a console-based application, this time I click on Office/SharePoint, and then I go to SharePoint Solutions, and I will be selecting SharePoint 2013 Empty Project. And I leave the .NET Framework as 4.5. And let's actually call this as Create Site Collection using Feature. And let's keep the same name for the solution as well, Create Site Collection using a feature. And click on OK. This is the first time I'm ever using SharePoint 2013 project template in this course. So let's click on OK. So the first thing, it will actually ask you what site do you want to use for debugging. So I will have to actually set that to MySP server :20,000 because this is a site collection that I'm interested to work with. And then what is the trust level for this SharePoint solution? Would you like to deploy this as a sandbox solution or as a form solution? In this demonstration, I'll actually go ahead with the form solution as deployment mode. We'll be discussing about the differences between those two later. Simply click on Finish. We can now see we're inside Visual Studio and our brand new solution has just got created. So when I click on View and Solution Explorer, you will see a couple of different folders under this brand new solution. So I'll be actually creating a feature. I can right click on Features, click on Add Feature, and we will be providing a feature title, a feature description, and also we can set the scope of the feature. So you can notice here, Create Site Collection using Feature. That's going to be my feature title, and you can provide some description here. Let's say, for example, when this feature is activated, it creates a new site collection. And also I can set the scope of the feature as web application in this scenario. You can notice here I have actually set the scope of this feature as web application. And also you can notice the other three different types of scopes here. And if you set the scope of the feature as form, that feature will be available for you across that form. Means across all web applications. If you set the scope of the feature as site, and that feature is actually available for all the subsites under that site collection. And if the scope is web, then that feature is available only to that specific website. And if you set the scope of the feature as web application, this feature is actually available for all site collections under that web application. So right after you have specified the title and then the description and then the scope of the feature, we can simply close this window. And for this feature, I'll be creating an event receiver. So you can right click on the feature and say Add Event Receiver. And then you can notice here, Visual Studio has created for us a class, Feature1 Event Receiver. And this class is actually inherited from SP Feature Receiver class. And you can see there are some methods which we can override, like feature activated, feature deactivating, feature installed, and feature uninstalling, and feature upgrading. So in this demonstration, I'm actually more interested in the feature activated. So let me press Ctrl KU to uncomment that, and let me paste the code for you. So you can now see the code what we have inside the feature activated, and this method has got a very important parameter called as properties of the type SP feature receiver properties class. So first of all, I need to get a handle of the web application so that I can actually create a new site collection under that web application. So obviously I need to take into references using Microsoft.SharePoint.administration. And once you have those two using directives in place, so now you can see the code. So how do we come to know under which web application user has actually activated this feature? So you can say properties, which is this offset, dot feature dot parent as SP web application. So once you have the web application handle, you can actually get the list of site collections under that web application by saying webapp.sites. So this sites is SP site collection. So whatever site collections you have under that web application will now come into the site call object. So I'm just trying to verify if site call site/developer training is null, means you do not have a site collection which has a URL of developer training. We wish to actually go ahead and try to create a brand new site collection. So as we do not have a site collection as developer training, it comes inside the if condition, and here we are trying to create our brand new site collection. So I'm trying to say this site collection dot add. So you're actually adding a new site collection, and I'm going to call this as site/developer training, and then you can supply the owner of the site collection, who is cop/administrator. Administrator is my username and cop is my domain name. Obviously you have to change that according to your domain names, and also optionally you can supply the site collection owner's email address. Right now I'm just specifying it as administrator@cop.contoso.com, which is actually a dummy email ID. So that's it. So this one line of code will actually create a brand new site collection for us. So it's time for us to build a solution and then deploy this. So I can click on build and deploy solution directly, in fact, because it's actually going to build and then it's going to deploy. You can click on the view and output window to see the deployment progress. You can see here the deployment has started. Also in the meanwhile, if you can go back to view and solution explorer, when we have actually created a feature and when we have actually attached an event receiver, so these are the different files that actually got created. And you can see now the solution is actually getting added to the SharePoint server. And we know that at the time of creation of this project, I've actually deployed this solution as a form solution. So that means this solution is actually available across the form. So it has now added the solution and it is also deploying the solution. So now you can see the deployment has been succeeded. So let's actually go back to the SharePoint Central Administration, click on Application Management, click on View All Site Collections, and you can now see there is a brand new site collection called as Developer Training. And let's actually open this site collection in the browser to see how the new site collection looks like. So in this scenario, this Developer Training site collection has been created under the Web Application 20,000. Unlike in the previous demonstration, when we have created the training site collection that was actually created through a console-based application. In this case, it was actually created with the help of a feature. So we will now explore what actually has happened when we deployed the solution from Visual Studio. First of all, when I take you to the Central Administration and click on the Manage Web Applications, and when we select our own web application which is running on the port number 20,000, let's click on Manage Features, and here we should be able to find the feature that we have just created. And you can notice here, create site collection using feature _u, and this is the feature what we have created in Visual Studio. this is the feature title. And you can also see some description. When this feature is activated, it creates a new site collection. You can notice when I have actually deployed my solution, my feature automatically got activated. Otherwise, we can actually activate this feature by ourselves as well. Now let's actually see why this feature automatically got activated. That was because in Visual Studio, when we click on the F4 and look at the properties of our solution, there's a property called as Active Deployment Configuration, which is by default set to default. And if you leave that as default, your solution will be deployed and also your feature gets activated. And if you actually set this to no activation, and when you deploy the solution, only the solution will be deployed, but the feature will not be activated automatically. So in such scenarios, we need to activate the feature by ourselves. Also, we will see to which folder our features or our solutions actually got deployed. If you visit the SharePoint root folder, which I have shown you already, program files, common files, Microsoft Shared, under Web Server extensions, under 15, there's an important folder called as template. Under template, when you go back to features, you can see the feature create site collection using feature that just got deployed here. So whenever you deploy a solution from Visual Studio by clicking on the build and deploy solution, your feature actually got deployed to this special folder. Like this, whatever folders we have under 15, every folder has got some importance. And for features, we'll be dealing with template and then the features folder. And when you go inside this folder, you will actually see a feature.xml file, and which is pretty much here. So this is how we have come to know now what actually happens when you deploy a solution from Visual Studio. Also, let me actually explain to you whatever code that we have written inside the feature1.eventreceiver.cs has actually been deployed to your global assembly cache GAC. And by default, you can see there is a strong name key file. So Visual Studio is intelligent enough to deploy your assembly to the GAC folder. So let me actually take you to the GAC folder. You can see I'm inside my D drive, Windows, Microsoft.NET, Assembly, GAC_MSIL folder, and you can see create site collection using feature can be pretty much seen here. And that's the assembly which it has deployed to the GAC folder. So that's how when you deploy a solution from Visual Studio is doing many things for us. It is copying some essential files to the SharePoint root folder like 15 template features, and it has also deployed my assembly to the GAC folder. Also, at the time of the creation of this project, we have actually deployed this as a form solution. So let's actually go and see in the central administration where we can see our solution as a form solution. So I'm inside the SharePoint central administration. Let's click on System Settings, and you can see under Form Management there is Manage Form Solutions. When I click on the Manage Form Solutions, you can see create a site call using feature, and that's our feature and that's our solution which actually got deployed to the SharePoint server as a form solution. A solution which gets deployed as a form solution is actually available across that form. In this way, in this demonstration, I've shown you how to create a brand new site collection with the help of a feature. Unlike by running a console-based application, you can now see when we go into Manage Web Applications, and when you select your own web application, and when we click on Manage Features, and whenever you wanted to have that site collection, we could actually activate that feature. Of course, right now this feature is already been activated, otherwise I can deactivate and we can activate the feature one more time. So that is how in this first demonstration I've shown you how to create a proper SharePoint 2013 project using Visual Studio, and how to create a feature and how to implement the functionality for a feature.